Australia. It is home to the Great Barrier Reef, Ayers Rock, and the vast outback. It is a beautiful country. Once every 2 years, however, it also becomes home to a fearsome challenge. Founded in 2007, Cambridge University Eco Racing, or CUER for short, is an entirely student-led society at the University of Cambridge. It comprises mainly engineering students from a multitude of disciplines, with the goal of building and racing solar-powered cars. CUER began by building Affinity, which was the first solar-powered car to drive the length of the United Kingdom. Then it built Endeavour, which competed in the 2009 World Solar Challenge and finished 14th out of 25 runners, completing 1,616 kilometers on solar power. For the 2011 race, we planned to run a revised version of Endeavour. It was hoped that the aerodynamic and electrical system improvements would allow the car to finish the whole race on solar power alone. It's a bird! The first members of the team arrived in Darwin with just over a month to go before the race began. With the car still in shipping, the team began to plan what it needed to do in order to make it through the race.
Right, so I'm going to chase up the toll and I'll send an email after Ford about cars.
There were a number of logistical issues to consider, such as the build schedule, food and water requirements, and so forth. However, the most pressing was the issue of the hire cars, as the team would need both a lead vehicle and a chase vehicle to accompany the solar car at all times. In addition to this, the team would also need a vehicle to tow the trailer and another one to transport all of the team's equipment across the outback.
Right, so what do we want to do about other options for hire cars? Do we want to go around Darwin?
With the initial planning sorted, the team decided to enjoy the time we had before the car came and took the chance to visit some local attractions.
Really cold.
Watch the sunset. It's lovely. Apart from that baby crying. The good times did not last.
We were driving back from the Aviation Museum itself, across this junction, and someone from the oncoming traffic just cut across and ended up ploughing into the back of our car. Luckily, no one was hurt. The damage was pretty minimal. But we pulled over and got this girl's details, like the insurance stuff, and we had to, we went back to the hire car place and sorted it all out, but we had to pay a $3,000 excess, I think it was, which was, we were already operating on a negative budget, pretty much.
Yeah, our budget's always on a knife edge, so for someone to just say $3,000.
Yeah.
Although the $3,000 would be returned, it would not be in time for the race, which meant that at that point, the team had no way of paying for the hire cars that we needed. To add insult to injury, we received news from the shipping company that although our container had arrived, we could not be given access to it. This was despite assurances to the contrary given just weeks before our arrival in Australia. Alistair, our team manager and logistics handler, was immediately on the case. But still, time slipped by as he tried to push his way through the web of bureaucracy to secure our container. One day became two, two became four, and four became a week, and yet we were seemingly no closer to getting our hands on the car than at the start. It's been like, what, 6 days now?
Too long.
7 days? And the car's not here yet,
Yeah.
right?
8 days.
Why?
Who knows? I mean, no one seems to know. It's a combination of the shipping company, the forwarding company, and everyone in the shipping company not communicating with us or themselves. So,
Not telling us what information they need, not telling us how much money we owe them. We won't release the
Shit.
container until we've paid, but they haven't invoiced us for the money that they don't know how much we owe them.
and then they want money in 4 different currencies. And why was this information not provided to us, months ago when we first organised the shipping?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Alistair's got an email saying everything is sorted, all you need to do is go and collect it.
Yeah.
And evidently not.
So in the meantime, we're stuck here with our proverbial thumbs up our proverbial asses, not able to do anything.
Yeah.
But one day we'll get a car and we'll work on it.
That'll be nice.
Drive it across the street.
I really like that.
I think it's somewhere around here. It's weird that it's there. I mean,
Although the team began to do what work we could on the new steering wheel and the telemetry program, the truth of the matter was that the situation was desperate.
When Tom and Emil and I took over the project a year before the race, the team was in debt to about £18,000, and the first thing we had to do, and fairly urgently, was clear that off. And we got a generous donation and some generous agreements that allowed us to do that. And the rest of the year was spent directing all our funds towards simply competing in the race. And basically, until we pay that money, we don't get our car. So, the worst moment of the whole trip was when I'd assumed that we wouldn't necessarily have to. I didn't realise it would be a requirement of the shipping company that we should pay them in full before they would release the container to us. And at the point at which they told me this, we didn't have any money in the bank. And that was by far the worst moment, knowing that we couldn't get the car because we hadn't paid them, and also we didn't have any money with which to pay them. That was really, really quite gutting. But luckily, one of our sponsors made their donation a few days later, and everything worked out.
What just happened, Alistair? What just happened?
I've just come off the phone to Maersk in Felixstowe in the UK, and they finally give us an invoice for a shipping order, and also I've paid it. So.
And finally, we were given access to our container.
this is down at the dock. George has foolishly given me control of his video camera for the day while we unload the container. So here she is. Inside there. We're just wooden blocks off which are holding the trailer on at the moment.
What we're looking for is, once again, the quarantine risk is going to be anything that's in contact with the ground.
Okay.
The contents were then swiftly put through quarantine, but by this time we only had 2 weeks left until scrutineering.
So when we got the car, there was quite a lot to do, just to think about it. We had to fit new wheels, we had to change the seat angle.
The telemetry system hadn't actually been tested thoroughly in the car.
Driver ballast, horn, handbrake, brakes.
The fairing covers, attaching those, doing all the filleting for the underside, sanding down all the old paint, painting on new paint.
We didn't have any tests done with the solar array plugged in.
Battery, telemetry system, canopy, fairings, new wheels, fitting the tyres, lights as well.
There was a lot to do.
we had a lot of jobs to get done.
Quite a lot to do.
With no more time to waste, the team set about immediately to work.
Darwin's Feel Good Station, the all-new Mix 1049.
A little less conversation, a little more action. All this aggravation ain't satisfaction in me. A little more bite, a little less spark. A little less fight, a little more spark. Close your mouth and open up your heart and maybe satisfy me. Satisfy me, baby. Baby, close your eyes and listen to the music. Dig to the summer breeze. It's a groove and I can show you how to use it. Then come along with me and put your mind at ease. Hey, a little less conversation, a little more action. All this aggravation ain't satisfaction in me. A little more bite, a little less bark. A little less fight, a little more spark. Shut your mouth and open up your heart and baby, satisfy me. Satisfy me, baby.
Hey Tom, what are you doing?
Looking at me, yay tickle.
Come on, baby, I'm tired of talking. Grab your coat and let's start walking. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Don't procrastinate, don't articulate, girl, it's getting late. You just sit and wait around. A little less conversation, a little more action. All this aggravation ain't satisfaction in me. A little more bite, a little less bark. A little less fight, a little more spark. Shut your mouth and open up your heart and baby, satisfy me. Satisfy me, baby. Satisfy me, girl. Satisfy me, baby. Satisfy me. Satisfy me, baby. Satisfy me, girl. Satisfy me.
Okay, it's about 7:30 in the morning. We're here at the Bot Workshop. About to go out testing for the first time today, which is exciting. So we're just waiting for the rest of the team to get here before we load them up on the trailer and take her out to near Litchfield, which is about an hour's drive away, where the Northern Territory Police have found some roads for us to use. So Alistair stayed up all night doing work on the battery, making sure it was balanced. After Dan and Ned and Alistair replaced the 2 dud cells that they found yesterday. So yeah, a lot of hard work went into preparing the car, and this will be the first time we've run it properly on Australian roads, so fingers crossed it all goes well. I'm excited, I'm really excited. How are you guys feeling about testing today?
Sweaty.
We are on the way for our first day of testing. It is Thursday, and there is a week and 2 days to go before the race, or 3 days to go before the race.
First day of testing. What time did we plan to set off?
10:35. Oh, look at that.
We first tested the car the day after I got there, so I was a bit jet lagged, but I was really excited to get out on the road and see it running. It was like exciting to get there, and then suddenly like the car which we've been working on for 18 months was ready to go.
Inside line, George.
He's a racer.
And it was so hot out there. I think it was probably hotter that first day of testing than it was for the whole race. And just working out that everything fundamentally worked fine was quite a relief in some ways.
That the lights were not working fine, however, caused Dan some annoyance.
Look at these cones. We have 3 cones. That's how poor we are.
We also discovered that our cones were road train proof, which is always good to know.
Maybe the cones don't work quite.
The cones work.
Aren't they?
It's a road very slow. If you ride over with your sort of car, you tell God.
Our cones are better than your cones.
I think.
Once lunch and friendly banter was dispensed with, we set about the afternoon session with Lucy driving the car.
it wasn't just the first time that I'd driven Endeavour when we tested it on the first day. It was also the first time I'd ever driven a car by myself on the roads. So I remember driving off the side of the road, being pushed onto the road by Dan and Ed, as it turned out, and just thinking to myself, I've never driven a car by myself before, and I'm now driving an experimental machine that my friends have built on a road with quite a high speed limit. What am I doing? And it was pretty scary for a bit, and then I realised that it was essentially all automated. All I had to do was steer, so after that it was quite good fun.
What would you say we averaged?
Average
It must be-
80.
It was pretty much 80.
80 pretty much the
kilometers
whole
an
way.
hour.
You hit about 91, 92.
And if the telemetry was working, we'd have really interesting data about power usage compared to power input.
Yeah.
That's what we're really missing right now.
That might be on the Atom.
Yeah,
It
we'll
is
have
on
to
the
we'll have
Atom.
to get the log out. If we rip out the log, we'll be able to see it.
We still have some aerodynamic bits to put on the car, so hopefully, I mean, this is looking quite promising so far, to be honest. Right, let's move.
The team was buoyed by the good results of the first test. However, there was now only 6 days until scrutineering, and the team still wanted to fit in another day of testing with a completed car. To get to this stage, we needed still to modify the suspension, complete the surface finish for the whole car, fit the canopy, paint the whole thing, and sort out a few niggles with the electronics. It was time to cue the music and get to work.
It's as new as planking, the all-new Mix 1049.
So Endeavour is really quite simple when you just break it down to pieces. So on the inside there's an aluminium chassis. We've got all the all the mechanical components are bolted onto that. The front wheel is the driven one. It has a motor inside the hub, so there's no sort of external chains or anything like that. It's super efficient, 99% efficient, about 1.5 kilowatts. And around that, you've basically got an aerodynamic shell. It's got to fit on the 6 metre squared solar array, which is a massive constraint. And there are other things you want to minimise all the drag. The electrical system that drives that car is really, when you break it down, incredibly simple. You've got the solar array, which is driven by its tracking controllers, which take the power from the array straight to the battery. And all the power from the battery is controlled to put into the motor and drives the car. And everything around that is just extraneous and just controls that system to make sure it's as efficient as it possibly can be.
Lucy, comms check. Alistair, comms check.
Yeah, powers are good, powers are good. Okay, the plan is for Lucy just to keep pace with the lead vehicle,
So when I went out for the second day we went testing, that was the first time I'd been out with the car on the road, and it's really, really great to see it out on the road.
First time I got in the car when we went down testing, for me, it was incredibly uncomfortable. I remember having to stop after about 5 minutes in the car saying, guys, my back.
Can you tell us which bit of your back the foam's digging into?
It's just,
Oh my god. Your trousers. The backs of your trousers.
yeah. And then the rest of the time I had to go to the toilet all the time, and I think it was quite an achievement when I managed to actually sit in the car for an entire length of the Peninsula Road, because the first one I just sort of kept saying I'm uncomfortable, I want to get out. Yeah, it was not a good time. It was at the end of it I was thinking, do I really want to drive this car across Australia, because it's going to be incredibly uncomfortable.
So the second test we did with the canopy on, and that was a lot better, because I remember having the wind in my face so strongly that my eyes were watering and nearly bleeding, it felt. So having the canopy on was brilliant. The other great thing about having the canopy on was that I could sing to myself in the car.
Ed, what does your computer tell you today? Anything interesting happening in the car?
Is anything impressive happening in the car? I mean, the car is moving. I've always found that quite impressive.
It's working. Hi there, so we're here in the lead vehicle, currently doing testing with George. And we're in the ute we've hired from Thrifty for the day, and behind us we've got the trailer, and then behind that we've got Tom in the solar car. And Tom is just about managing to stay alive in the solar car. We're doing about 60 kph, and we're just about 10 kilometres away from the end of the road where we'll turn around, and Lucy will swap with Tom and we'll drive back and head back to Hidden Valley Racetrack.
So far we've covered just over 170 kilometres today.
Yeah, so we've done 170 kilometres of testing, which is the most the car's probably ever done, ever, in a day. And then we're going out for the second test and just see the car run constantly all day long without any real problems other than the drivers complaining. And then getting it back in the evening and it still being looking as if it was perfectly in good condition. It was very, very good.
I remember at the end of the second test, we had a small incident. I was going at about 60 or 70 kilometers per hour, and I just rounded the bend, reaching the little piece of land by the side of the road where we were going to stop because it was the end of the test run.
So we radioed Lucy and told her to pull in, which she did. And from the chase car, we sort of thought she's going a bit fast to take, because from the tarmac to the sand at the side of the road is a bit of a step. We're like, ooh, that's a bit fast for that.
And I started to slow down, only I didn't start to slow down, and I put my foot on the brake, and nothing happened. And everyone was on the radio to me saying, "Lucy, slow down, slow down."
Suddenly we hear her over the radio yelling about how she can't brake.
And luckily there was a tiny gravel track, so I just pointed Endeavour at the track and just let her roll down it.
And because it was just rolling, after about 25 metres or something, it rolled to a stop.
And it turned out that the handbrake had come undone during the run, and it must have been because the road was quite bouncy. And so what had happened is the pin that was supposed to keep the brake from coming off instead prevented the brake from reaching the end of its travel. So we had to modify the handbrake after that. But it was a bit scary while it happened, and I don't know what I would have done if it hadn't been a convenient road.
So it was scary. At first you sort of think, oh, she's just gone too fast and she's not driving very well. And then you think, oh, she's going to hit something. Oh God, the car is screwed and she might be injured or something. But it was all good in the end and we fixed it. So.
Scrutineering took place in the centre of Darwin, and was where each team's entry was officially checked for compliance with the World Solar Challenge regulations.
See my ID? Participant, mate.
That's what I'm talking about.
Look at it.
The officials picked over the car with a fine comb, checking everything from the battery circuitry to the steering wheel shape to whether drivers could enter and exit the car in under the prescribed time limit of 15 seconds. As well as this, the drivers were weighed and ballast handed out accordingly. The team did not immediately pass the scrutineering process. There were several issues, such as the rear view camera and the covering of the high voltage circuit boards that failed. However, these were issues that the team were able to rectify that afternoon, and so the car was completely signed off on the following morning as being fit to race, pending successful completion of the on-track qualification session.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
This one just not go in at all.
After being signed off, the team immediately went to the Hidden Valley racetrack. This was firstly to give Emil, one of our drivers, some time in the car as he'd never driven it before, and secondly to do a final systems check before qualifying the next morning.
Where did that go? Down the back.
We switched the car on, only to discover the capacitors on the battery management boards falling off, due most likely to fatigue failure from heat cycling.
If we've got leading ones, we can solve onto the pads.
You mean spare capacitors?
Yeah, but through holes.
What are they, 100 microfarads?
Yeah, I would say.
I might have some spares,
It
but...
says 0R9 on it.
They were soldered back on in short order, but then, as we tried to get the car going, another problem occurred.
It stopped. We don't know why. So we're going to take the top shell off and have a look.
The fault was eventually traced to a dodgy isolation switch and was then fixed, which meant that finally Emil could get some time behind the wheel of Endeavour before the race began.
Emil out on track for his first run.
Before qualifying, I was really worried about wheels, having designed the new ones and thinking, oh dear, these are really close to the edge of the fairings, the edge of the suspension. I remember talking to George, who was doing the qualifying lap, saying, don't take it around the corners at anything near a racing line or racing speeds. You've got to be really, really soft with it and make sure it doesn't collapse on you.
Qualifying at the track was fun. Yeah, it felt like being in proper racing team.
I thought it was really fun just to see everyone there, really good atmosphere, see everyone, you know, well around the lap as fast as they could or whatever. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
So I think I was mainly tired, but plenty of adrenaline.
Right, we just go up.
Yep, just roll out. Out of the way, guys. Margin.
We knew we'd have to do a slow lap because of problems with suspension, arms rubbing on the tyres. So we knew it was going to be slow. Personally, I didn't realise quite how slow it was going to be.
Coming around the final corner. Here he comes.
For the University of Cambridge endeavour, 3 minutes 11.19.
I felt really proud when we saw Endeavour go around, and it didn't matter that she went around really slowly compared to most cars. You just feel proud that you've managed to get this far.
A time of 3 minutes 11 seconds .19 put us 30th out of 37 teams, with the pole sitters more than a minute faster than us. However, the team was satisfied. A 3,000 kilometre race is not decided by one qualifying lap after all.
There's a right turn in and out of strings, that's about it.
After the lap, the team convened for a quick safety meeting.
Okay, right, so basically, safety is kind of something that people tend to not always take seriously, but you kind of have to remember that we're going somewhere where people die, and if you remember what happened to Unicorn last year, like, it was unexpected, but it was very dangerous and it could have ended up a lot worse, so we have to be safe. Like, this is a proper massive road that we're going out into, and it's not the same as just going camping in the UK or something.
After the safety meeting, the team set about finishing the equipment packing and making sure everything was in readiness for the race start.
Move anything that you can throw out the way. We'll set some bubble wrap here. Look, I put it on the floor for you this week. It was already on the floor, it was just about to be arranged.
So later on the evening of the Saturday, the night before the race, we're just starting to get all the packing ready. We're putting it in all the cars, and the main sort of carrying stuff car was the Scout van. So I got in the Scout van to move just over to the next door car park. We were going to move it about 30 metres so that it would be easier to pack them all together. And I reversed out of the parking bay down the centre of the car park.
I just thought, you must have seen that van, you must have seen that lorry part there, and just kept coming, and it just like...
And it was going so slowly, and I was sitting in the chase car and I could see in the wing mirror it moving, and then just saw like a shower.
Looked out of both my wing mirrors, saw nothing, reversed, and just heard this almighty crash of glass. And I thought to myself, oh, it won't look as bad as it sounds. It was just a bump. Maybe you can't even tell.
And I thought he'd taken a light out. I was like, oh, he's hit a light on the truck, what an idiot.
And then I saw everyone's faces in the car next to me and realised that you could tell. Went to the back of the car and saw the back window was just gone.
I got out and was like, oh god, the whole windscreen is gone. There's a dent in the back of the van. And yeah, I thought that was sort of a bit of a, close to a nail in the coffin.
My impression at that point was we were out of the race. I thought, because of the problems we'd had with other crashes, we didn't really have the funds to pay another excess and sort out the insurance on that. So a lot of us thought we were out of the race, and I really don't want to be the person to tell Alistair this when we actually catch up with him later at BOC.
I remember after qualifying we had a lot of packing to do, and I was one of the people who stayed behind to pack up everything from our garage at Hidden Valley. And there was a fantastic thunderstorm and lightning storm, and we spent ages filming that.
There's an airplane flying into it. Why is it not lightening up now?
Because you've got a camera on it.
Oh man, come on. Whoa.
And we were feeling really amazed by everything that we'd seen, and we were feeling really excited, and we drove down to BOC confident that they would have everything sorted, and we got there, and I remember Tom came up to me and he said, they've crashed the van.
Having had lots of problems with the hire vehicles and shipping and insurance for the trailer and all sorts of things go wrong in Australia, and it just before the race was about to start, 5 o'clock that evening, everything was sorted, the car was ready, we just had a bit of packing to do. So I was off at Hidden Valley and I came back to the BOC. Myself and George picked up the car, and Ollie came across to me and he was like, can I have a word in private? And initially I thought he'd fallen out with someone and he was going to tell me that he was getting really annoyed at someone else in the team or something like that, but no, it turned out that someone had managed to crunch the back window of our van. And knowing how much that had cost the first time we damaged a car, and that wasn't even our fault the first time, my initial reaction was just one of complete disbelief, really. I couldn't believe that we'd managed to do something wrong again. I was mortified, honestly mortified. And then within about half an hour we were in I didn't have time to be mortified anymore because we had to race in, I think it was about 8 hours.
There was a really stressed out atmosphere that evening, down to that one. I mean, it was obviously going to be stressful, but that one event really made everyone sort of think, whoa, we're really close to not being able to do this.
And it was also the first time we'd actually packed everything in all the vehicles. Yeah. We hadn't practiced it, we didn't know. We kind of had a rough idea where things needed to go, but it was just the issue of getting everything in.
Really?
Really?
So we decided, we patched it up with some sheet plastic we had, and actually from one of the pit bay boards, so it had Cambridge University Eco Racing on it, and a lot of tape, and we drove it and decided to deal with it in Adelaide with Thrifty. It was a phenomenal patch job.
Given that we had done in the dark in about 10 minutes and it lasted 3,000 kilometres.
Yeah, we only at one point on the first day I sort of patted the tape down again and didn't have to touch it again. I was amazed it stayed.
Has nothing to do with a lorry parked in a car.
No.
Like a boss. Or a large amount of glass in the car.
No.
All over the car.
I'll Photoshop that out. It's fine.
What, frame by frame?
Yeah.
So I wasn't that concerned that we weren't going to race with a smashed window. I was a bit concerned when George lost the key for the lead car. I think it was one of the cars he lost the key for, and that was missing for about an hour or so.
See, I didn't even know about this until I read it.
Yeah.
Read it later.
If we didn't have that key, we probably would have struggled to get off the start line the following day, because you really do need the chase in the lead car. So
there was a very slight moment where I thought this means that our race is ruined. But I think by that point, knowing that we had so many team members there and that we'd fixed so much previously, I didn't. There were times earlier where I thought we were more screwed. By that point, I was just like, oh well, it doesn't matter what goes wrong now, we'll work our way around it, and we did.
World Solar Challenge is one of the most difficult endurance events in the world. First run in 1987, it has been run every 2 years since then. It encourages innovation and the pushing of the boundaries of technology, with a view to transfer the lessons learned into building a practical passenger vehicle. The basic premise is that teams must drive from Darwin to Adelaide, a distance of around 3,000 kilometers using only the power of the sun. Each team must proceed from Darwin and pass a number of control points along the way. The cars must be able to maintain a minimum average speed of around 50 kilometers an hour, or else they will find the control stops closed to them, forcing the teams to trailer the cars in order to catch up. Therefore, teams who are forced to trailer cannot complete the full distance on solar power. In 2009, only 8 teams out of 25 managed to complete the full distance on solar power alone.
The team's aim for the 2011 World Solar Challenge was simply to complete the race. Endeavour, although she's a very good car, we knew had problems, especially being quite heavy and not having great aerodynamic performance. We knew we weren't going to be competing with the top teams for the win. And actually, having done our calculations, we knew that simply to complete the race, we would need to be driving perfectly from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock every day, all day. And so we knew it was actually quite a challenge just to be able to complete the race.
Straight down, is that right?
Getting up for the morning of the race, again we had to be up really early because they wanted the cars on the grid really early.
We'll stop it there. They're good? Yeah, that's good.
Cool. I just want to check it works. And once the car was on the grid, it was actually quite relaxing because by that point everything had been sorted and we were just waiting for the start of the race.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I was pretty nervous.
I was sweating because it was the most humid day ever. It was a bit tense because everyone, again, it was a situation where all the teams were in one place, and everyone was sitting around waiting to go. And you'd see people from other teams you knew, and you'd be like, hey, and it would just be a bit.
It's about 7:30 in the morning, and I'm stood out here, right outside the start line, or just right next to the start line. Look at that. I can't believe we made it. There have been times when I didn't think it would happen, but here we are. In about 40 minutes time, we're going to start on this 3,000 kilometer adventure. May the gods be good.
The actual start, when we actually pulled out, was absolutely incredible. The entire street, the entire sort of colonnade, like along the government house, with lined with people cheering, even the bottom cars. And you realise that I'm driving a solar car, and it really does stand out. And that is really cool.
Yeah. So we're overtaking the University of Tehran.
First time went really well, I think. We kind of drove at a steady pace. I think about 60k we did for about the first 2 hours or so, all the way out of Darwin. So Tom was driving, I think Tom was driving, and we overtook a few people who'd broken down. Quite a lot of people had problems on the first day, which is kind of understandable.
Hello Philippines, this is Cambridge, good luck!
Okay, so we're coming up to pass the Solar World team from Bochum. This is Durham's car.
This is the Cambridge convoy.
Well, part of it. So it would appear we're probably the lead British team.
It was funny because we set off and it was all this adrenaline as we set off. And we're sort of like, yeah, we're going. And then you realise half an hour later you're still going, and it's a bit less adrenaline, but it's still quite exciting. And then you realise you're gonna have to do it 5, 6, 7 hours every day for the next 6 days or whatever. And it's no less exciting. It's just all right, time to calm down, or else we're gonna have a heart attack or something.
And then the telemetry stopped working, which is that was a fairly big issue.
We didn't realise, I think, at the time, what a blow that was.
Yeah, because so the issue we had was that a fuse had blown in the 12-volt system in the chase car, and that meant we couldn't power the laptop, we couldn't power the radio to the telemetry to Endeavour. So after about half an hour of racing, we then had no data on anything electrical wise. We had no data on power, we get anything from the array, nothing about the battery, no cell voltages or anything like that. So we were just kind of, I think we were so excited about going, and we thought it was such a high priority to get to the first control stop that we were just really keen just to keep going at a steady pace and just hope that everything was working. So we did that, we just kept driving.
Sit rep. We've come about 80 to 90 kilometers out of Darwin, and we're having our first breakdown right now. Tom reported a loss of power, so they're working on it right now. I don't really quite know what the problem is. I'm holding the safety flag so that road trains don't crash into us.
Yeah, the steering wheel broke. So we had the driver controls inside the steering wheel. So this was the circuit which essentially sends all the commands to the motor controller, the lights, everything like that. It basically is the driver's link with the electrical system. And suddenly we got a complete loss of power to the steering wheel. So the screen wasn't coming on, none of the buttons were responding, and Tom just couldn't drive the car. And I picked the steering wheel up out of the car, and it was really hot. And I thought at first maybe there's an off chance it's an overheating issue. We've never really tested it that much in this much heat before. So I took it into the chase car and stuck it in front of the air conditioning for about half an hour, cooled it down, plugged it back in, and it worked. So that kind of semi-confirmed to me that it was a heat issue. But it turned out it wasn't. I was later to find out that a component had come loose in the power supply, and just it was kind of flapping on the circuit board. So just moving it around was what was chopping the power intermittently.
It was a bit disappointing when you suddenly heard Tom's voice over the radio going, "Guys, I've lost power, guys." And then to wait for about half an hour and then hear that there's a problem with the steering wheel. Even worse is to hear Alistair come up to you and say, "There's a solution to the steering wheel problem, but you're not going to like it." And as it turned out, what I had to do was to steer with the steering wheel that was broken, because that was the only one with the attachment. And then I had to control the speed with a second spare steering wheel that kind of wedged on my lap and didn't have any indication of what speed I was travelling at.
So I was quite fearful of how long it was going to take us to resolve the problem, because every second that we lost by the side of the road, it was just massively affecting our chances of our hopes of being able to complete the race.
The team lost over an hour fixing the problem before being able to continue.
We were going along this long downhill straight, and we saw a road train in the distance pulled over on one of the lay-bys they have, and we saw it was coming out of the lay-by onto the road and was slowly accelerating, getting up to speed. And these trucks with like 3 or 4 carriages, I guess you would call them, so they weigh a huge amount. It takes a really long time to accelerate up to speed, so we had to slow down a bit behind that, but it was okay because it was gradually speeding up. And then we got down to the bottom of this hill, and we noticed that there's a big rise on the other side, really the biggest hill we've seen so far. But we sort of think, okay, we're probably not doing too badly, we've got a fair amount of speed.
The solar car team at the top, all stopped on the edge. A road train in front of us, the other 2 solar car teams behind us, I think another solar car team in front of the road train, and the whole lot ground to a halt. And just trying the road train trying to just crawl around all these stationary solar cars who just did not have the torque to get up.
And it was the most painfully slow thing ever to be crawling up the hill and to feel yourself slowing down and to know that any minute you're just going to stop, and then hearing the 6th step come in, which is a warning sign, and then stopping and thinking. I mean, it was a really steep hill. There was double white lines. I couldn't see around the bend. There was nowhere to stop on the side of the road. I felt so exposed.
And with Endeavour being as heavy as she is, there's no way that you're ever going to be able to ever going to be able to start or going up a hill. And also with the roads, the way the roads laid out there, it certainly wasn't safe enough to put her on the trailer. So the obvious option was to push the car.
Come on, Endeavour, you can climb the hill.
Very steep, very hot. It was about midday.
That's probably one of the more dangerous on-road situations.
Scout car, we are on the move. We're on the move slowly, but we will catch you up.
So it was quite hard work running. I must have been a good couple of 100 metres or so up the hill, and I was quite out of breath by the end. But I'd just been sitting in the Discovery all day, so that was my work done for the day.
After that issue with the driver controls and then the hill, we'd lost quite a lot of time on the first day. And we were all really, really keen to get to Catherine, which was the first control stop, before it closed on solar power.
Distance to control stop is 110.
Which is kind of, one of the observers had said to us, if you make it to Catherine, you'll finish the race. It's the hardest kind of, it's almost like a benchmark. If you can do that in the allotted time on the first day, then you're pretty set to go the whole way, notwithstanding weather conditions. So the whole team was pretty keen to get there, but after those two problems, the speed we needed to maintain kept creeping up and up.
Oh, now doing 80, Tom, maintain the gap.
With a heavy car was like really quite a fast speed, and we still had no telemetry. We hadn't managed to fix the fuse in the inverter in the chase car, so we didn't really know. We were kind of guessing how much power we were getting, how much we had left in the battery, and
we guessed wrong.
Yeah, we kind of guessed wrong, I guess.
Well, I mean, at that time we decided that we were going to get to Catherine on solar, so we decided to maintain the speed and go for it. We knew that we didn't know all the energy, all the different balance of what energy we had and stuff like that, but we decided to go for it, and in the end the battery wasn't as balanced as it could be, so we couldn't squeeze all the energy out that we wanted, which meant that the car cut out by the side of the road.
A lot of people were kind of a bit down before we just okay, we've already kind of missed our aim of completing the race, day one.
That, I think for me, that was the first time that it hit home how difficult the World Solar Challenge is, really. So, it's hard to make a solar car, but look, there it is, you made it, you know how difficult it is to make everything reliable, but you tested it, you've got a few hundred kilometres on the clock or whatever, and then something that you've not foreseen at all happens, and just suddenly you're like, wow, I was sort of thinking wow, we never really had a chance. Obviously it's not quite true, but at that time, it was easy to be pessimistic.
I think everyone just completely deflated. Before then there'd been a lot of energy in the team, you could hear it on the radio and everyone was getting really excited. And then we realised we put the car on the trailer and our van went completely silent. We didn't speak for ages. We were just...
We got to where we had to stop at 5 PM for the day, and I don't think we said 3 words to each other.
The team were up before the dawn, keen to get the array lined up to catch the rays of the rising sun in order to start replenishing our depleted battery. We had also fixed the car so that the drivers now no longer had to use 2 steering wheels to drive. The plan was to trailer for a few hours to the next control stop at Damara in order to give some time for the battery to charge, and then to continue driving Endeavour from there.
About 10 seconds.
10 seconds till the race starts.
20.
What?
That's not the way countdowns work.
Numbers go upwards, right?
It's like the random.
They go downwards as well.
5 seconds.
Slow driving,
what?
might be more fun.
No.
Go.
Oh, Lucy. No. 8. There we go.
Why did it go? Oh, I know why it went down.
Right, we're off for our second day in the World Solar Challenge. Hell yeah! Well, not in the way that we'd like, but this is our plan to do as many miles on solar power as possible. So, this is what it is.
And it was quite fun, actually, because on the left-hand side of the road, there were lots of shadows. So I spent a lot of the time driving the right-hand side of the road to avoid the shadows. Some of the other teams were a bit confused about what we were doing, but I thought it was a fairly standard tactic in solar racing to drive out of the shadows, even if it was on the wrong side of the road.
Stationary, you're going to have to go to the control stop with the observer.
And then at Dunmara, George got in the car and we decided to do a solar stint, which went well, I think. And this is when because we had telemetry back, we could monitor the power much more carefully. So we were aiming to basically get no net current into or out of the battery pack. So we're not using energy from the battery, we're just using the energy available to us from the sun.
But that involved a lot of communication with the driver.
So I mean, it's not possible to do it perfectly all the time.
All 4 drivers constantly had Ed in our ear going, speed up slightly, slow down slightly. It was always slightly. Never just speed up or slow down, because who knows what we would have done. And it got to be a running joke, one of many.
So we stopped, we did a driver change, it went really well, we got a meal in the car, drove off. I think we did about maybe half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, and the power we were getting started to really come down.
Okay, I think we have the options of either trailing tonight and potentially driving for most of the day tomorrow, or continue driving and definitely having to trailer for most of tomorrow. I think given the current weather and what looks to be ahead, a lot of cloud cover, we should put the car in the trailer and drive it as far as we can, hopefully get out of this cloud.
Scout, look for somewhere to trailer, Preferably before that big hill.
So I'll make sure you get the keys.
Yeah.
And it was depressing again to have to put it back on the trailer. I don't think there was a single time during the race where we put it on the trailer and anyone was happy. Every time we went on the trailer, the whole team went down.
We soon discovered the source of the cloud, a massive bushfire burning about 50 kilometers away. After an hour on the trailer, we began to escape the worst of it, and although the sky ahead was a rather hazy blue, spirits began to lift.
Was that rock the last time you came?
Sit rep. So we're stopped at the side of the road. It's just gone 5 o'clock. We passed the bushfire and the sun came out again, so we decided to drive on solar power. And then, because the day's getting so late, we're still not getting enough power into the battery. So we decided to stop early at the side of the road for people to, as you can see, hold up the array, so we can do some charging.
Is the sun come behind the cloud now, has it?
Yeah. Now. It'll come out again. It's really patchy cloud.
How low is it? Is it getting lower?
Yeah, it's getting lower.
Well, it's obviously getting lower.
Yeah,
I'd say it's about.
Newsflash, I'll still get lower.
I'd say it's about 30 degrees up.
I think it's 20.
All right. Well, let's get
protracted. It's cloudy from here on down though.
I was feeling a bit bad about that point, I think.
Yeah, I think a bit disappointed still. Not as much as after the first day.
Yeah.
Because the second day we'd pretty much done everything we could.
Yeah.
To get as far as we could in solar power. And by that point the race had already become a case of get as far as we can on solar power. Given that we'd already trailered, we've got to just get as many miles in as we can.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'd had some problems, but we'd done what we could.
I think I felt a lot better because at the end of the first day, like, the battery had cut out, and I felt responsible. I was like, we'd used the energy in it, and in a way, it did what it was supposed to do. But still, I sort of thought, this is my fault. But by the end of the second day, it turned out that the battery wasn't broken. It was okay. We were going to be able to use it for the rest of the race. So I felt better at the end of day 2, definitely.
So on day 3 we did what we did every morning. We got up really early, plugged the array in, pointed at the sun, and just collected as much energy as we could.
Hello. Good morning.
How's it going?
It's okay, how are you guys?
Yeah, we're good.
Blasting
You got
out some
toothpaste
Pearl
around
Jam.
your mouth.
Sorry?
You got toothpaste around your mouth. Sorted.
Sorted.
It's gone now. Yeah, we're doing okay.
The sun's come out, so the array's getting some charge.
We are getting some
charge. Battery's getting just over 2 amps, but it had 3.
Oh, I was talking to you.
We knew we still didn't have a great deal of charge in the battery, but we still decided that we were going to drive straight off.
Lead car moving off.
Control stop there, and we were informed that we had to wait for 3 hours 52 minutes or something because the top teams had been delayed because the road had been shut from bushfire. So we had to have the same time penalty applied to us.
Yeah, we might as well use it.
And it actually worked out quite well for us because given that we'd run our battery fairly flat and we didn't have that much charge, having 4 hours to charge at midday was essentially the ideal thing. It was exactly what we needed. So we pretty much topped up, we pretty much brimmed our battery, I think, in those 4 hours.
It's about 30 seconds to go, I reckon.
That being our first day where we drove solidly from 8 to 5, admittedly with a large control stop in the middle, it was really good not to have put the car on the trailer for at least a day.
With the team in high spirits, good use was made of the Discovery's rather excellent sound system.
Emil, you got a radio?
Sit rep, we've arrived at Devil's Marbles, and it's an absolutely amazing place. I'm going to do a little pan around. It's just like I think this is an Aboriginal holy site or something, but it's actually amazing. The scenery is fantastic. And we've got some CUER members on top of that big rock.
So this morning was absolutely awesome. Everyone was up on time. We got the campsite cleared up fast, and we were all out there by the road with the array pointing at the sun well before 7 o'clock. Is everyone happy to do that again tomorrow?
Yep.
So 5. Yeah. So just a kind of reminder, make sure you get all your stuff organised tonight and everything else for people organised tonight. And anything else? Is there any work needs done to the car first of all? Or anything else? Cool. So yeah, just make sure you pack everything up, and as soon as you've got your suitcase sorted, put it behind the disco. Plan for tomorrow is the same in the morning, and then the aim for tomorrow will be to try to drive under solar power to Alice Springs. Everyone happy with that? Yeah.
I sort of jiggle it into position, like if it's gonna done. Yeah, it's in.
Anything more from Discovery?
Beginning of day 4, we started out with George in the car.
George Kobayashi in the driver's seat, and the car kept cutting out power. He was just demanding too much of it.
And we were getting these power drops where it really mysterious. It was, some mysterious bug in the electrical system that me and Dan just could not figure out for the life of us. We were like, well, what if it's this? No, because that doesn't work, because, blah, 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 like theorising, and just like, we couldn't think of anything that fitted the symptoms we were seeing. But it didn't seem, it would just cut the power and then the power would come back again. So, we'd had worse problems.
Sit rep, we've just done the first stint of the day, first stint of day 4, and it was a good one, apart from a few weird power outages in the motor controller. We've covered 105 solar kilometres, and now I'm in the disco with Lucy, driving. Where's the thumbs up? Yeah. And we have a praying mantis as a passenger as well. He's just chilling out on top of the windscreen there. Like, dude, what's going on? I don't think he knows that we're going at like 65 kilometers an hour, otherwise he'd be freaking out.
I don't think he's really aware of this.
No. So Emil's jumped in the solar car now, and we're trying to get ourselves to Tea Tree on this stint, which is the next control stop. It's another 100 kilometers away, so if we don't have any other problems, then we should make it by the end of Emil's stint. And then we'll see what happens from there. Yeah. It's a very hazy day due to bushfires everywhere.
And then at the first driver change, Emil got in the car, and I went on telemetry in the chase car, and then went to sleep or something like that. And then for the whole of Emil's stint, it was just the perfect stint. Like, it was probably 3 or 4 hours of driving at roughly power neutral, often getting charged, nothing going wrong, telemetry working flawlessly.
It's just a curse.
Kind of
me and George were cursed.
Led me to believe that it was something that George was doing wrong, or something that Ed was doing wrong remotely from the telemetry system.
Hacking into the car.
With the car working well, Endeavour even had the chance to pass another solar convoy.
We're going for a racing overtake on University of Waterloo.
No, Waterloo.
Their car is called Midnight Sun.
To overtake the convoy, clear for overtake, speed up, go.
Oh god, we got one behind us as well.
A solar car?
Yeah, well, we got a big flashing light anyway, it might be a house.
No, that was the truck we just passed.
Oh yeah.
Speed on all, good speed.
Smooth, Lucy,
Thank
smooth.
you!
No, Waterloo, get back in your own lane. It's got Emil's problem.
Oh.
What?
Go, Endeavour! Yeah!
Yeah, Emil, go for it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Do you want to rein in them and tell them that we're overtaking too, if it's safe? 24. George!
Doing it.
Actually, we'll hang back until Endeavour's overtaken the whole convoy.
No, go.
Yep.
Yeah, Waterloo, Cambridge Discovery with trailer is going to overtake as well, just to advise you.
Right, where's my trailer?
You know, I feel like we should let this mantis out, because if he goes all day with us, he's never going to find his way back home.
But he's going on a brave adventure. He'll find a new home and make new mantis friends.
Okay. And hopefully he won't fly into a
Although,
bucket
I
of
have a
washing up.
feeling that it's a tragic mantis love story because there was another one on the outside of a windscreen trying to get to it.
Oh no.
The convoy, Mantis included, made it to Tea Tree with no further issues.
But yeah, I mean that was a really good stint. And then I think George got back in later on in the day, fairly late on, for his second stint of the day. And then it started going wrong again.
Yeah.
And this time it was a bit more serious.
Because the array cut out or something.
No, I don't think the array. I think the whole we lost power to everything. So we thought the issue was just the motor had lost power, the motor control was losing power, and we couldn't work that out at all. But then the whole car just lost power.
There was no option but to trailer the remaining distance to Alice Springs.
Which is really frustrating because I think that we needed this day to be good. We needed a good day today. And we haven't got it because we've just lost another 150 solar kilometers or whatever, nearly 200 solar kilometers. So we've driven something like 850 solar kilometers in total now, and it's coming to the end of day 4, I think. I mean, I was just thinking as we got out of the car at the control stop that at this rate we're going to do worse than 2009. That's really gutting. I mean, yeah, it's really gutting.
We camped that night near Alice Springs, where Dan and Ed worked tirelessly to troubleshoot Endeavour's electrical issues.
Battery maintenance, flash plug finding.
So what are you planning to do?
Avoiding real big. Well, there's a couple of things I'm planning to do. One of them is check all the connections between the cells.
So you think
whilst not taking the cells out because that breaks the rules.
There's some strings.
There's these strings here, which are designed to stop you taking the cells out.
Yeah.
And they do a pretty good job of that. But I've got a feeling that some of the problems that we have, there's a possibility they could be caused by just the whole pack, like splitting in two halfway along its string or something.
Right.
We had the car open and we were fiddling with it.
We spent a few hours rewiring stuff.
And I was plugged into the battery trying to make sure that it was in good health and things, because there have been a few connection issues there and we were wondering, because it's all coupled together, you know, the problem could be anywhere. So we were just plugging things in and unplugging them.
And we swapped over to the CMM, didn't we, at that point?
Yeah, we switched them.
So we were trying to work out whether an issue that we'd had was a battery cell issue or a management board issue. So we swapped over to the management boards to see if the problem followed the board or stayed with the cell. And I can't actually remember what
the problem.
The problem disappeared, yeah. So it wasn't.
And then it showed up again a few days later.
Yeah. So yeah, we solved the temperamental power loss issue at least just by rewiring some things, plugging them in.
When we watch telemetry, we always watch it on motor control though.
Yeah, but it's electrically connected. I know we get that weird thing when they contact the roper. We don't really know why. Or it doesn't open.
On the morning of day 5, with a fixed Endeavour and a full battery, the team were ready to clock up some serious kilometres.
Go!
jumping off the deck, shoving into overdrive.
There was this little sort of bluff hillside, kind of a little bit sticking out. I was looking at it kind of just out the corner of my eye, and there's this fork of lightning just came down, hit the hillside, and I started summing up like the height of every single object around me at that point, and thinking, there aren't that many high trees, and it's quite flat, and the only thing higher is kind of like the Discovery. And I'm touching, my foot is touching a piece of metal at the front of the car, and I'm trying to remember my first year electromagnetics and thinking, okay, is this thing a suitable Faraday cage? Is it going to shield me from any sort of electrical shocks? Then it started raining, and only when it started raining did we decide to stop. You couldn't see a thing through the windshield. The lack of windscreen wipers make it impossible to see when there's torrential rain.
So I finally got to sleep in the Discovery and woke up when we stopped. Looked out the window, there were clouds, there was rain, there was lightning, which was a nice touch. And I was amazed that we were still driving, to be honest. Tom was freaking out inside his little Faraday cage, and after a while, there was a rushed discussion about whether the car was waterproof or just water resistant, which ended up with us very quickly getting the tarp out.
What kind of crazy weather is this?
Ridiculous. It nearly always rains on this side.
On what?
Oh, it's nearly always rains somewhere on the top. No one told us this. We would not have come.
And by that point, you're like, well, we don't, we physically cannot drive the car in these conditions. So there's nothing we can do about this. Just take the car on the trailer. The rain sort of stopped, and we thought, yeah, we can carry on here, and then realised that as the rain stopped, there was bushfire. And it wasn't a bushfire 50 miles away, it was a bushfire 5 metres away on the side of the road.
So we've got flame.
It's just there.
We're doing a film.
much fire. Look, oh my god.
I was told 3 things about Australia before I left. Was that it was sunny and it was flat and there were kangaroos, and it wasn't sunny, it wasn't flat, and I didn't see any kangaroos. I saw a dead. I only saw a dead kangaroo, and I ate one, but I did not see
a live wallaby as well.
Well, we saw, maybe
I saw
in the
a
distance.
I saw a wallaby. It was in the road.
Yeah, so that was quite a shock because there'd been so many hills, and it wasn't sunny. And we just thought Australia had lied to us, really.
And sort of that evening, I had to dig in my suitcase because I put one hoodie in as a sort of to wear on the plane because I didn't, I assumed I'd be in shorts and t-shirt the whole time, and it was cold.
But yeah, we camped in Candy Homestead, which was really cool because of the weather, everyone had sort of piled up at the same place. So it was 11 other teams or 12 other teams or something there. And the whole campsite was taken over by solar car team, and there were showers, so that was a big bonus. Because that was our first real shower since we'd set off Sunday morning for some people, Saturday night for others. So that was a good.
And it rained some more as well.
Yeah, so it rained all night, which was like camping in the Lake District where you got the tent and
it was cold. It was really cold.
Yeah, everyone was wearing hoodies and stuff. It was very strange.
So according to Emil, this cloud goes all the way to Adelaide, which means we're as is
we are.
as every single other solar car team which is camped with us right now.
Which is about 10.
Yeah.
But they may have driven further than we have to get here, so we have to drive further out of here until we run out of battery. So George has to use no power.
I'll see what I can do.
What we reckon is, if we're going to trailer all the way, right, we have a lot of time, so why don't we just drive downhill and then
trailer up.
Trailer up, like, on big hills, not on like undulating ones,
right.
but on like on most big hills. Just the moment you see a hill coming, just let yourself run out of power, then brake, and then we'll...
We woke up at Cadney Homestead in the morning and it was overcast but it wasn't raining, and all the other teams one by one trailered out of there, and at that point CUER kind of did a charge of a light brigade type thing.
Us being the masochistic type or something, decided that we would try and get some solar mileage that morning.
British stiff up a bit. Everyone else, all these other teams from hot places and all were like, oh no, it's raining, it's a bit cloudy. Being British and being good at used to it, drove off.
If it's going to be like this the whole way, we're just going to run the battery down, go as far as we can on the solar, so that we know we've done our best. And I was really proud of us at that point. It felt so good to actually be driving, and it felt good to be driving in such ridiculous weather. It was such an oxymoron of a situation. And even though we were going painfully slowly, it was just brilliant. We looked good.
So come over, just be patient and don't worry.
So right, just finished the first stint of day 5? Day 6?
Day 6.
Oh, it is day 6. Yeah, okay. And now I'm in a disco with Lucy.
We're going to get an optimistic 66.
Good for day 6.
But we are going to catch.
Yeah, they're over there.
And Alistair's in the back. And we're in the bleak landscape of southern Australia with clouds overhead. And we know the car's going to run out of battery in about an hour or 2 at the most, because we're just getting nothing from the sun. So now it's just a case of let's drive as far as we can, and then we'll put it on the trailer and drive the rest of the way.
until the battery was just about dead, and then we trailered to Cuer PD.
We are at, sorry, we'll do it George's way. Sit rep.
Enjoy the rest of your drive down.
Thank you. Sit rep. We are at Cuer PD, having trailered here through lots of opal mines and a long straight road. George was asleep, but he's awake now. We're here in Cuer PD. It's a bit barren.
And it's a bit cloudy as well.
A bit.
This is
Okay,
Ollie
there are
being not
supposedly 3
impressed with
layers
the
of
weather.
cloud.
Ollie looked unimpressed for the camera.
That's quite a good angry face.
He's not impressed. So we're going to trailer to Glendambo tonight, then get to Adelaide tomorrow, and then we will have finished the race for a given value of finished. I'm going to finish my sandwich now. Bye!
And then it brightened up a little bit, so we thought, oh well, we might as well, you know, try and get something out of it. So we charged for half an hour or so, and then Emil drove the car up.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. Give it beans.
Give it beans. Beans now. Buy the beans.
Okay, that's a very small amount of beans.
That's not a very large amount of beans here. Insufficient beans.
Someone said at one point, how much energy do you think we've got left in the battery? How long can it drive? And I said, I said about half an hour. Yeah, we said.
One of us said, I think it was at 15 minutes, and you said 30 minutes or something, and we lasted like 20 or 25 or something. We were like, yeah, we can do this.
We were pretty. So Emil was, so Ollie in the lead car pulled over to kind of.
But we've been on the radio and we said, right, we're gonna pull over. Like, there's no point carrying on now. It's just gonna go flat somewhere where it's not safe.
And we didn't want it to go flat completely because that makes it a bit more difficult to go. Because of the way we were wired up, a bit more difficult to charge up because it's sunlight. So we didn't want to go completely flat. So Ollie pulled over to signal, and we told Emil to pull over as well. So we're all expecting us to pull into this lay-by behind Ollie, and we could see from the telemetry that he was just pushing the throttle further and further up.
I could tell that he wasn't going to take the turning because he was putting too much current into the motor. I was like, Emil is not taking the turning on the radio. And Ollie is in the lead car on this lay-by, just driving at the same speed as us and comes back onto the road because you need to have a lead car.
Emil just shoots
Emil is
a
now
ridiculous speed. We've got no power left nothing left in the battery at all.
And he's not answering on the radio at all. We're like, Emil, you're not going to get anywhere like this. You're on a big uphill. Well done, 55 kilometers an hour.
So he dumped about 12 or 13 amps into the motor, which is
for a good minute or something.
Yeah, and we never really worked out whether he did it deliberately or just misunderstood
I
the
think
radio.
he did it deliberately.
I think he did it deliberately because we thought at that point this is probably the last, given the weather, this might be the last bit of solo driving we get.
Yeah, because he said he didn't know, but I think he knew.
If you looked at the way he just gunned that throttle.
And also, as soon as the lead car pulls off, he might not have pulled off after him, but he would have stopped as soon as he could.
Yeah.
And then he got out of the car and gives us the radio and says, I couldn't hear you, I think it was on the wrong channel, but he definitely changed the channel.
Emil, you couldn't hear us because your radio is tuned to channel 5.
Yeah?
The radio is tuned to channel 5, did you realise
Sure, that's not happened, he's taken it off.
No, I haven't touched it.
No, but quite often when you take the radio off and give it to someone, you end up.
No, but my junk was pressing on stuff.
The bearings offside.
You went past the turning and turned the car off.
I completely missed it. Was so. Emil, do you want to get out?
Right, we'll still get there. It was a good way for it to go.
George, we can do it with our hands.
Yeah, in a sec. Good stuff, man.
When we ran out of battery eventually, I wasn't sure that it would be the end of the race. I think we all kind of assumed that it was, but I thought, well, we might still be able to charge on the trailer. There's no reason why we can't eventually get enough charge to do a little bit more. And you always think, well, weather forecasts are only forecasts, and it might be okay. Alistair was the worst, I think. He was aggressively optimistic about it.
See if that cloud.
I'll be quiet.
If
stop with your if that cloud, if this sun. felt like maybe that was it, but that we definitely pushed ourselves as far as we could go. In the evening, at Lake Hart, Alistair sat us down and he told us our plan for the next morning. And he began with,
"It's going to be a glorious day."
and we all said, "Alistair, stop. It's not going to be really sunny."
Alistair had given us this pep talk, which involved what we were going to do the next day. And it was really cloudy still at this point, and we looked up and we just thought, we're not going to get any more sunlight.
A lot of us, I mean, I know I thought this is a plan which is, it's pointless to make this plan because we are not going to get sun tomorrow. Like that afternoon, you just see the sky. It was like an English, winter sky. It was completely grey.
And he said, "No, but if it's really sunny," we're like, "No, it's not going to be really sunny. Stop living in this hypothetical world."
But Alistair was convinced we were gonna do solar eclipses, and we were gonna get to Port Augusta, and everyone was a bit sceptical.
It's going to be rainy and we're going to trailer, and that's fine. And he wouldn't let it alone. And the next morning when we woke up, it was sunny, and we all felt like idiots. Because Alistair had apparently out-stubborned the actual weather.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I was realism because I thought the forecast was still quite poor. But I think people should always plan for the best, and I guess it comes a bit from my gliding. We're gliding up in Scotland. Half the days you can't go gliding because the weather's rubbish, and every night I'm like, the weather's going to be good tomorrow. We're going to get up as if the weather's going to be good, and if it's not, then we can sit around and have a cup of tea.
The sunlight was too patchy at the campsite to get a good charge, so the team decided to trailer on down the road until a better spot could be found.
And we drove on for a bit, and then you could see it starting to get brighter, and then we could see the sort of the end of the cloud, as it were.
The whole team became amateur meteorologists all morning going, "Oh, the cloud's over there and there's a patch here and the wind's blowing in that direction." So we all had our different predictions about where we should start to stay with the sun. We were all wrong.
Just as we thought that we should be stopping and charging for a bit and then driving, we came across a lay-by that already had teams from MIT and Eclipse parked there. So we stopped, waited with them for a bit, and charged up the battery.
It was 1989, my dog was on my head was sure. Caught somewhere between us all.
And it was a really awesome atmosphere. It was just like, okay, we'll have a party in the outback, right here. I'm sure no one will notice. It was brilliant. I'd so much rather have been there than winning. Maybe a bit of winning.
Have no internet, but man, I never will forget the way the moonlight shine up on the head. And we were trying.
Ready to go, Emil? You psyched?
Don't speak once I'm psyched. Okay, right now.
Wait, I'll psych you again.
I have the rage.
Oh no, we enraged him!
I have the rage required to drive a solar car. This is the problem, I'm so on edge when I'm driving the solar car that anything unexpected happens, I just go crazy.
Whack it to full throttle and
yeah, I
the
just whack it
battery.
to full throttle.
Australia! Awesome love!
After that point, it's actually quite downhill all the way into Port Augusta. So it was simply a case of putting Emil in the car and letting him drive as fast as he possibly could all the way to Port Augusta, which I would a really, really positive way to end the race.
And then after a while, suddenly the clouds almost completely disappeared, and it was back to big blue sky, beating Australian sun. It was, and we were amazed. And Alice is like, "Full you." We did. It was quite good because it meant we did the remainder of what we were allowed to do. So we sort of finished on a good note. I think.
So
Driving pretty fast, bringing me out of the car. It's well known for not stopping.
I was very glad that we were able to drive the car into Port Augusta because for most teams, Port Augusta marks the end of the race. You have to trailer from there if you arrive after the weekend or after Friday afternoon. So it meant a lot that we were able to drive it.
So rep, we're at Port Augusta. We've put Endeavour on the trailer and Alice has just towed her out. We're about to leave now. Next stop, Adelaide. Oh, yeah. We've arrived in Adelaide at the Torrens Parade Ground where the car's going to be parked overnight before we do the parade tomorrow. Happy days. Good job, Endeavour. 3,000 kilometres across the outback. You brought us here.
Oh, by the way, quote of the day from Tom. These trees look like bonsai trees, only bigger.
Made sense in my head at the time.
That's extra special. Yeah, that's extra special. What are we doing now?
Plan then?
We're waiting around for
Find out.
day.
Well, I should probably find out what.
Come on, team manager.
Which wait here.
Well, no. I mean, we have to leave most of our stuff here.
And then we should probably find somewhere to stay for the night. Probably check in at the house.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
To get boosted.
Yeah. Woohoo! I think the plan is go to Hostel Chow. Has anyone got internet? I kind of think you'd be good at that. Yeah. Don't bother bolting.
Oh, that happened at the start.
Nothing.
That happened the night before we left.
Nothing happened. I mean,
nothing happened.
I mean, I like your window. It looks like any normal window.
The next morning, it was time for the team to officially cross the finish line. We had made it.
It was really wonderful. And it was one of those other moments where you suddenly realise just what you've achieved.
However much you did on solar power or not, it was just like really good to like be there. You know, we've in some sense conquered the outback and done the world solar challenge. You know.
Why the beans, Lucy?
Oh, you need beans out. I know how this is stressful for us, but we have no confidence in our car getting up the hill.
Yeah, I don't do ceremonies. I'm probably not the best person.
A lot of the year I didn't really think we'd actually make it a lot of the time because there was just so many things that had to be done and like so many things we kept putting behind and that we could have done sooner or went wrong.
Prep to run out and get it stopped. We're all prepped to go and sort it out when it breaks. As an experience, the competition of the World Solar Challenge was unlike anything I've ever done.
Yeah. How's it going, guys? Alright.
I'm pretty nervous.
I'm not on the team. I'm too
Bridge.
lazy to walk to the finish line.
Please don't let me and Dan are stressing that I don't want it to break.
Yeah, I think we're all stressing the car's going to break.
Yeah, but we're the ones that are going to get flat.
Don't get a bit distracted by screaming fans. There's going to be a lot of screaming fans.
So, you know, actually getting there and doing it was just huge and like thinking now that yes, I've been just ready, yes, I raced as well, so challenges of like Yes, and that's an amazing thing that I've really done, and kind of hard to top, really.
Wow, so using 0 most of the now we're not. It's really oh, did they push it? Yeah. They had to push it. It's push it on. Stop. Jump in. Go. 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 Go.
Yeah. I wish we didn't have to do that. I would have taken a lower efficiency motor just not to have had to push it away from the lights in Adelaide.
You guys have a waterproof car.
That's wrong.
Drive us right.
Thanks a lot, mate. You each look hilarious.
This is it. This is it.
Cambridge.
That's right, it's Cambridge. That's what I'm talking about.
Damn straight.
It's definitely the best thing I've ever done.
We had so many barriers that we had to overcome. We had the financial issues. We had a small team that was struggling to do master's degrees while we built the car. We nearly didn't make it to Australia, or we nearly didn't make it across Australia. There were so many things against us, and to have been part of that team that was pushing every step of the way, it felt like the most incredible achievement, and I think it was all the more incredible because it was hard and because we had problems, and I would absolutely do it again, and I hope that I do.
Did someone call my name like a distant drum is beating? Or is it just another dream of long ago? I dance again, I am spinning in the light I am living, and I can feel the power rushing through my veins. Once upon a time, I could do no wrong.
We are such children.
With a candle flickers, flame is never gone. To my brilliant feet, they all beg heed. I hear the clouds roar.
Hey, Alice, why would you do that? Regret. Why would you do that to yourself?
Smell my own sock.
Obviously that was a bad call.
Then you have to pay to play.
Yeah, we see. Go,
The
go,
world,
go.
it won't wait for you. It's got its own things to do. The sun's gotta rise and drive another night away.
That's really nice. I'm offended. Sorry. Cattle grid.
I can hear thunder in the distance. To my brilliant feet, they all day heat. I hear the crowds roar, oh, so loud. To my brilliant feet, I'm a blind man weak. And still my eyes grow, oh, so cloudy.
Can you try and sum up your World Solar Challenge in one sentence?
I'll sit up so that I don't look so casual.
One sentence. Okay. Oh, can you not record yet? I need to think about this.
Can we only have
This is the
one?
kind of thing you need to think about.
Yeah. But he wants it off the cuff.
Off the cuff. A really exciting technical challenge, logistical challenge.
No, from your point of view, like your WSC, not
My
the
WSC.
WSC.
He's ruined his sentence
Not
now.
good at being
Emotionally.
Pretty cold.
You're dead on the inside. My World Solar Challenge in one sentence. I'm dead on the inside.
That's why I cope so well like that. When everyone else was falling apart, I
Yeah, we will.
If I had to sum it up in one sentence.
Best invitation here is.
Oh, shit!